have any questions?
What possessed you to write?
Well, one day I started wondering about where Bonnie was, in all honesty. And, you know, I started thinking about it, and I started looking for her, couldn't find her, and it just kind of, it started bringing back a lot of memories, you know, just growing up and all of that. And so I started just writing it down and thinking about it. And I actually went through, I keep scrapbooks, and I had hundreds of not hundreds, but we're gonna say 20 from all the places that I've been and from growing up. And so I started looking through them, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna put dates with this. And slowly it just started coming together. And that was 2017. I put it on hold for a while. You know, the kids, they have sports and they have everything. Life is just going on. So you kind of get caught up in it. And then I picked it up again. And I think it was at a point in my life that I just needed something that was therapeutic to just write it down and get it out there. And then it morphed into this. I didn't even know that it was going to be like this when I first started writing it. So it just kind of followed this strange course that led to me realizing that it doesn't matter what happened. You know, I have a great life. I have an absolutely amazing family. I couldn't have been born to a better mother, with a better family. And I love my father too. I absolutely love him. But it's a tricky situation there to describe that. But I love my dad, and I always will. But my mother, she raised us. She worked so hard every day. And she had to deal with me. I mean, I was a handful. I was not an easy child. But she never gave up on me. So that was why I wrote it.
And what about Soul Keepers?
Ooh. So after I wrote Finding Bonnie, I kind of got this.
Scary vibe?
Well, it was more of like I just really couldn't stop. You know, our family has this thing where when we start getting into something and we have a hobby, we just can't stop. It's just this insatiable thing. I knitted so many scarves with a nifty knitter that I just donated them all. And so after I wrote this, I just felt this real desire to just keep writing. And the Soul Keepers, that one, I had a dream. I had a very strange dream, and I woke up in the morning and I thought, I'm gonna start writing a book about what I dreamt about. And it's not exactly the way that I dreamed it, but it's better. I love history. You know, I love being able to put myself back in time while this stuff is happening, and I like to be able to do the research and understand, you know, what was going on back then. The book that I'm working on right now, The Ashbourne, is it's actually takes part back when the Vikings were alive and they came to Canada and found their way to Bangor. And I feel like, you know, everybody writes about New York or Los Angeles or whatever. And I kind of think, why shouldn't they write about Bangor? You know? So maybe it'll peter out and I'll find another thing that I just am truly in love with and I'll do that. But for the time being, I just can't. I can't stop. So.
How long did it take you
to write?
To write from the first one
so
to the next?
So for this one, 2017, I started writing it. And I finished this, just last year. The other ones, they're just falling out of my head. When I wrote Abigail, it was kind of in a way, a tribute to our family and what in my weird brain, because I've always liked scary movies. I'm interested in paranormal things, it's just interesting. I don't have to necessarily believe in it, but it still piques my interest. So I basically wanted to write a witchy story that happened on a plantation. In fact, actually, Abigail, now that I think about it, started off because my best friend from kindergarten, Rachel Sparks, her mother asked me to write a short story for one of her books. And so I started it out, and it was just the first story. So it was just the Abigail portion that she was going to put in her book. And after I wrote Abigail, all of the characters were they were amazing. And so I wanted to tell their stories because it was just fun, and to dig back and to tie them together. And I know that I do bounce around a lot, so I didn't with Finding Bonnie, but the way that my mind works is I like to keep you thinking. So for the memoir, this was me, and I was writing about me and my experience. But for the Soul Keepers and for Abigail, this is my weird brain. So I've gotten beta readers, I call them, which my mom, my Aunt Mary, they read them, they give me ideas on making it better and how could it make it to where sometimes they'll get lost because they're like, I was reading and they were married and then all of a sudden it's the 1800s. And so I don't know what just happened. But I just I like thinking that as you're reading it, we get so distracted. We're paying attention to all these different things all the time. So in order to read those books and to actually know what is going on, you really have to read it. You have to follow it and think, okay, oh, it's this person, and this was actually a jump back in time. I might update Abigail so that maybe the chapters of the book have a year or something, so that you can it at least
more understand it.
Right. But I'm a big fan of jarring people. I did it when I was little. I still do it. Just making people wonder and think, wait a minute, that doesn't make any sense. And you know it, Becky, because I did it all the time.